right? So maybe I put a hot pack on them first to kind of loosen up the muscle. Then I perform some stretching on them. Then I performed um, uh, performed right hamstrings strengthening with, I don't know, 2 pound ankle weight hamstring curls while in supine, and the sets and reps, and 3 times, I don't know, we'll say 12 reps, okay? 3 times 12. And so this is what I did in treatment with the patient. And then you might go PTA assessed right knee flexion. Oh, what happened? Weird. Sorry. Right knee flexion post stretch. Okay. Patient active range of motion was, say she moved up to 90 degrees of flexion, and passive range of motion was, we'll say maybe she moved up to 100 degrees of flexion, right? And so that's what, and this is the stuff that you're learning in Teresa's class right now. That's what you would record from that section, right? So I did goniometry on the patient. And you can put goniometry if you want, but this is kind of given in here in this section right here, that 90 degrees of flexion, 100 degrees of passive range of motion flexion. It lets you know that it's goniometry. But Therese might want you to specifically mention goni, just know that. And then MMT for right knee flexion remains at 3 out of 5, right? Because you performed the test, but one treatment session is not going to make a person's muscle grade jump. But any of that stuff you list here. Now, if it had been a few weeks, right, and you were doing specific assessment of like the patient's gait or how they were walking, you put that in here. So any type of assessment that you do on your own, or where you compare results. So like on, let's say we're a couple weeks from now on we'll say 4/8. Oh dang. 4/8/2020. I'm not typing well. 4/8/2020, patient active range of motion is 110 degrees, and passive range of motion is 115 degrees with of flexion in right knee. An improvement of 15 degrees from treatment on 3/26. Okay, so you're throwing in kind of an overall assessment of like patient's progress and things like that. Anything where you're like, patient has improved overall endurance and can walk 30 steps now versus 15 on, so anytime you, on whatever date, right? So anytime you're doing an assessment of patient improvement, or if you're simply saying patient gait has improved with fewer needs for rest and breaks, patient, like anytime it's your assessment of the situation, you put that in here, okay? And then your P is just going to be your plan for the next session, right? And so I'm going to go not off of this assessment, which I'm just kind of was showing you what it would be like in future treatments. My plan for the next treatment would be continue working on improving strength of right hamstrings and improve range of motion of right knee flexion, right? Because that's really your plan. That's all the goal is for this patient. And then maybe educate patients on new HEP and importance of HEP, right? So I'm gonna, next time I see this patient, I'm gonna educate the patient on a new HEP that I've sent home for them. Maybe she wasn't participating in the other HEP because it wasn't designed well for her, because it was too painful, or maybe it was just her, right? And so maybe I adjust things to make it a little bit better, or figure out what was going on, or maybe I just need to educate her on how very important it's going to be to get her back doing the things she wants for her to do her home exercise program. Okay, so your plan is just anything that you plan on doing in coming treatments. And I see that I misspelled hamstrings here or typoed it. In the next week or two in your treatments, right? And so you just want to throw a little blurb about going to continue this, or maybe going to progress to trying to walk upstairs, or whatever you're going to progress to, just to let whoever's working with that patient, like, so if you don't get to work with that patient next time, which sometimes happens, it lets the next person behind you know, oh, here's what I should be kind of focusing on, and here's where I should be going. And then this lets them know what you've done. The other value of this is it lets the insurance companies know, hey, this person really is doing this therapist is doing the work they're supposed to be, and it's worth reimbursing for, which your facility will like. And then the final point of this is, every once in a while, you might have a patient who complains and says you mistreated them, or didn't do things with them, or you dropped them, or who knows what they could say. I've had a patient say that I hadn't been coming by and working with them, right? And so I was able to pull this up and go, we did this. And it was just that the patient had a little bit of dementia. And as soon as I showed her, she was like, oh, I actually do remember that now, right? And so it's just a way to kind of cover your, and I won't say the word, but right, is a way to protect yourself and make sure that you have this, because sometimes people even have to go to court. And so if you do it in a treatment, it needs to be shown here, and you just need to know where to put it, right? And so this is kind of the guideline for that. Please feel free to ask any questions. Hopefully this helps a little bit. Clear things up about what a SOAP note is, how it works, what kind of different things you would put in the different sections. And what I'm going to do for you, like I said, is I'm going to let you do a SOAP note for me over some of the videos that we've sent out here recently that I know Therese released to you guys. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to type it up right here. If you do a SOAP note over the intro to goniometry, where Therese measured my elbow flexion, okay? Do a SOAP note over that, right? So this part right here where it talks about performed assessed right knee flexion, you'll do it for, I'm trying to remember, I think it was my right elbow. No, left elbow. It was my left elbow. So left elbow flexion, right? And so you'll write in that section what degrees she got and the different information. And then you can also pick one of the manual muscle tests that you saw, okay? Either the one in the intro to manual muscle testing or one of the ones from the videos that I made personally, and just pick it and then write up a grade, right? Okay, for what that patient was. Okay, so SOAP over the intro to goniometry and one of the manual muscle tests, right? As far as the rest, I still want to see a subjective, an objective. The objective will fill itself in because that's going to be the goniometry and MMTs. An assessment, so just pretend in 2 weeks that that person has improved, okay? And you can write in that part. And then for the plan, just write what you would do with that patient to improve things, okay? If you'll do that, I'll give you an extra 2 points, 2 points extra credit on your next test. Okay, I hope this kind of helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to post this in a discussion board actually, and you can write any questions there and I'll answer them. But I hope this helps at least some.